Can you build muscle in a calorie deficit? What's more important as you age, muscle size or muscle strength? And how important is the eccentric part of an exercise? All these questions and more answered on today's podcast, so stay tuned.
Here we go.
All right, guys, welcome to the Digital Barbell Podcast. Thanks so much for being here. If this is your first time finding our podcast, my name is Jonathan. This is my wife, Blakely. We own and operate Digital Barbell. We're an online training and nutrition coaching company. We're full-time coaches, and we live full-time in our Airstream traveling around. So that's why if you're watching this on YouTube, we're sitting in here, not an office or a gym or something like that. Thanks for joining us. Make sure you subscribe if you like this kind of fitness and nutrition and mindset related content. We put out a podcast every single week. We're on Instagram, we're on Facebook, and of course we're on YouTube. And we're real coaches too. So not only are we putting all this information out there on social media for free, but we're working with people just like you all over the world to reach their fitness goals. How was that for an impromptu commercial?
There you go.
Do you have a sponsor for this week's episode?
Yes.
Who?
T-shirts.
Us and T-shirts. We're sponsored by T-shirts because we are so excited about this new batch of T-shirts that we have ready for not only our clients, but for anybody who wants to order one. We only put out T-shirts once or twice a year, and it never fails that somebody sees us wearing one of our shirts somewhere, and they're like, "Oh man, how do I get one of those shirts?" They're like, "Sorry, they're only available for like a week and a half at a time, and then they're gone forever." So
yeah, don't sleep on ordering these shirts if you're interested in them. You can see the details. If you just go to digitalbarbell.com, there's a banner across the top, and you can click on that and actually see the shirt. But the way that shirt ordering works is you guys actually order them directly from the company who's going to print them up and sell them right to you. So it's like direct to order. So we don't ever have like a back stock of shirts once this style is gone. And this is a really cute summertime style, comfort colors T-shirts, which is a really good fit. And 4 different colors, great for summertime, and it's just a really fun summer shirt. So I mean, check it out. If you just, like I said, go to Digital Barbell, and then the banner's across the top.
One of our taglines of our company is "Lift Heavy, Be Nice." We're all about pushing people to the right level of exercise and getting the most out of their workouts, which is where the lift heavy part comes in. Not only for like the do hard things approach, but yes, and then of course the Be Nice. It's a summer shirt. There's a flexing sun on the back. Go check it out. I would recommend you get more than one color. You'll save on shipping that way too. So I want to get all 4 colors, if I'm being honest.
The shirt he's wearing is from the local gym we're going to right now, and it's a comfort colors, and this is like a large, and they just like have a really good, like the kind of trendy baggy fit. I wear I basically have a small, medium, and large and comfort color shirts, but if I want it to just like fit me, but not like super fitted, but just like fit me normally, I'll go with a small. But I also have up to a large in some of these style of shirts.
Yeah, and just so you know, Blakely's 4'1". She's no, just kidding.
What?
5'7" is how tall she is. I'm 5'10". This is a large to give it a little bit of a baggy fit. If I want it to be tight, show off my guns a little more, I'd have to get a medium. So there we go. Go check them out while they're available. We're not really making any money on these things, so it's not about that. It's just about spreading the love and letting you guys represent.
Okay, I have to say something really funny though about this whole thing, because we live in Wimberley, Texas. That's where we used to live, and we currently are in our trailer right now too. But we go to this Ace Hardware, and they do a great job with their shirts there. They have like, printed like Wimberley shirts, and they have so many different styles, and they use different vendors, but most of their shirts are printed on comfort colors. So for the past like several years, like basically my wardrobe when I wear t-shirts is like Wimberley t-shirts from Ace Hardware, and whatever shirt they have that's in comfort colors. So we've been like rocking these comfort color shirts for a while, and I just started noticing like on actually New York Times they've been shooting like
they're trending. They're
like trending now, and like I was like, Ace Hardware knew. Like years ago, Ace Hardware knew these were like the shirts to print on. Anyway,
Go figure.
all like our wardrobe is comfort color t-shirts that say Wimberley on them. So I'm excited to have some that say
Digital Barbell Shirts.
Well, we don't have any comfort colors that say Digital Barbell.
Digital Barbell Shirts in general. That's 99% of my wardrobe.
I'm excited.
We are going to get into the Q&A and the things that we teased in the intro. Most people just found us for the first time. They're long gone. So only the hardcore people are actually going to get the answers to the questions. But one more thing we wanted to talk about was kind of spurred with our call with Coach Haley this morning.
Oh, yeah.
You know, because we have been working out in commercial gyms since we moved out of our house. And it's just been kind of an eye-opening experience to watch people on their own, just going about their regular exercise routine, whatever that is, using the cardio machines, but then also watching the paid personal trainers train people in these gyms. It's really been interesting to look at the variety of trainers who are out there and just what the actual experience for the client is as they're getting trained. And the thing that came to mind the most for me is like, I used to think that personal training was the gold standard for exercise. You want to get the best results, you go pony up the big bucks, spend a lot of money per month, hire a personal trainer, and they're going to get you in the best shape of your life.
Well, I think that is like the gold standard of like the price point of training, because you're paying $100+ an hour for that person to be with you in the gym and guiding you through your workout.
Yeah, so you would think if you're paying the most for that, it's got to be the best, right? And after watching people get trained by professionals, I want to tell you that just because it costs the most doesn't necessarily mean it's the best option for you or for anyone else.
I think what he's saying is like we really see the value in what we are giving our clients, especially our clients who get the custom coaching option with us, because they are getting that we are obviously not standing in their gyms with them, but they are doing their workouts. If they're doing all the things, they're going to video like their sets. We're going to get to see their effort level. We're going to get to give them feedback for their next workout, and so that they can implement those changes, choose the right weights, use the right intensity. And it's like, but they can do it on their time. It's like we're with them, but it is like a fraction of the price of what you would pay to, like, if you wanted to work out 4 times a week with a personal trainer every day of the, that would be 12, times 12.
A lot of money.
That would be a lot of money.
Yeah.
And just what we've noticed is like that, like the personal trainers are there with the clients, like there's a lot of like chit chat, which is great to have chit chat in the gym. But it's like, if you have a limited time and you're there, like let that hour be the time you're making, changes happen, because that's why you're going. And I just haven't seen a ton of people like pushing intensity and like actually doing the amount of stuff that our clients do.
Yeah, or making the most of the time.
Making the most of that time, doing this list of things that, because there's a lot of conversation going on and like walking around and things like that. I just haven't seen the intensity being pushed like I would expect. Like, there's definitely not the trainers that are like, go, push hard, or anything like that. Like, and even from like, owning a gym and coaching group fitness classes, we pushed intensity as, we get in and we have fun, we chat. We got through that time, and then it's time to work, and then we're all pushing ourselves, and then there's more chatting. So I think group fitness is also that great balance of like where you're going to get that in-person, like, communication with people and have fun, but then you're going to actually push yourself when it's time to work. And I haven't seen that reflected on the personal training side from what we've seen, going through gyms so far on this journey.
I think people might hear us say that and they might feel a little intimidated hearing us use the word intensity so many times. But the thing that separates people who get results from people who don't is really working at the right effort level in the stuff
for
that
your
they're
level.
At your level. And what we see a lot with people who are training people in person is it's really the same thing as just kind of going through the motions of a workout, except you have somebody there counting your reps for you and telling you what to do.
So we're not talking
it's not about going crazy or like getting close to hurting yourself.
We're not talking about someone like, we're not talking about them being like, drop down and give me 10 burpees. That's not what we're looking for. We're like seeing people like they're bringing them over and they're doing a set of dumbbell curls or whatever, or and then they're just like kind of like, you can tell that like they're talking to them while they're doing the curls. And you know what I mean? Like, if our clients are shooting a video, we're like watching the movement, we're watching their elbow, we're watching the points of performance, and we're watching the intensity. And if like by rep 9, they're like this, we're like, okay, your weight is right. If like by 15, they're still like this and they're watching TV, we're like, okay, your effort level is not there.
Right.
And that's what we're talking about.
So all that to say, like, if you are working out now and you're like, I know I would get better results if I would just hire a personal trainer, but I can't afford it. Reach out to us, find out about our program options. Let us help you get even better results than that for a fraction of the price. So
And know
drop
what
the
to
mic
do
on that.
every day that you're in the gym.
That's right. Take away the guesswork and make the time that you're spending actually pay off, which is so great.
Yeah.
Who's got time to waste?
Because that is true. Like if you do hire a personal trainer, maybe even like one day a week, what about the other days that you go?
Yeah.
You know, like you want to have a plan for every day that you're in the gym, not just the days that you have someone walking around with you, and then you don't want to feel lost on the other days.
That's what
it is intimidating in those gyms because of all the machines. Like, you know, I don't use those machines, but you don't have to use those machines. There's plenty of dumbbells. There's plenty of other things to use in the gym. But if you just like looked around and you're like, I don't even know what to do on this, and I'm not going to stand there and read the instructions on every machine.
Oh, and there's like 6 knobs you have to adjust to get all the angles set. Like, how would anybody ever know?
Okay.
All right, you ready to get into these questions?
Let's go.
Let's roll.
First one.
I think I put these two together because I think we can answer them with the same response. So let's just read both questions together.
Questions 1 and 2. What's more important as you age, muscle size or muscle strength? And then at 66, how much cardio is too much? I feel strength training is most important. So, yes.
All right. I love that we got these questions because I think we don't talk enough about this subject. So I have to refresh my memory. We'll back up to the first question. All right, what's the more important as you age, muscle size or muscle strength? So we started talking about this on a walk or a drive the other day after this question came in. And I gave more thought to it, and I kind of changed my mind because my first instinct was, well, of course it's muscular strength, because everybody knows that the thing that puts you in a nursing home is not being able to get up out of a chair, get up off the floor, as bad as this sounds, turn around to clean yourself, those kinds of things. That's what ends you up in a place where you're probably going to deteriorate even quickly. So that my first instinct was muscular strength. But if we think about like just the aging process, we really start to lose muscle mass at about 35 years old. And that decline can happen at a rate of like 3 to 5% every decade if we don't intervene and do something else. Well, that muscular size that we could be losing, that process called sarcopenia, has a overlap to what our strength level is. What I mean is that if you're in the grocery store and you see somebody who has big muscles, that person's probably going to be stronger than anybody else you see. Now, that doesn't mean like if you put a power lifter who doesn't look as jacked next to a bodybuilder that looks super jacked, that the bodybuilder is going to be weaker. It's not like a 1-for-1 correlation, but just like with the general population that we're working with, the person who has bigger muscles is going to be stronger. And that's a good rule to follow if you just want strength for longevity's sake. Try to grow your muscles and hang on to them as long as possible, because that overlap to strength is going to be there if you can maintain your muscular size. Because strength is also like a neurological thing, and it comes from practicing, but it comes from having muscle size. And then there's a giant side of muscle mass that helps metabolism, improves insulin sensitivity. You know, it improves joint health, it improves nutrient partitioning. Like having muscle mass is great no matter what your age is, and try to hang on to it as you go through 40, 50, and 60 is going to give you all the benefits that don't have to do with your strength, along with all the benefits of having strength.
Yeah.
That was a long-winded answer. But my revised answer to this is fight like heck to maintain your muscular size for as long as you can. How do you do that? What are your thoughts?
Well, I would say not only your muscular size, but your muscular size, your ranges of motion, and your ability to continue to do more and more things. Because like a muscle, like take a bicep or something, a really big bicep that can only like do curls, and it is so big that it limits your range of motion, is not as good as
You mean like this bad boy right here?
But I don't think that's really what we're getting into is like muscles so big that you are limited.
We're talking
range
to
of
general
motion.
people.
But so I would say that like, you know, making sure that you are doing things that challenge you to grow your muscles, to keep your body running through full ranges of motion, getting up and down off the floor, pushing yourself up, you know, all the things, and keeping yourself flexible as well.
Yeah, balancing.
So that balance and flexibility and ranges of motion and muscle size, I think, are the things that we need to kind of be working toward as we age.
We want it all, but if we have to prioritize something in our 40s and 50s, I think it should be maintaining our muscular size And the way we do that is by eating enough calories, not always being on a diet. I'm talking to males and females here. Not always trying to like just lose fat continuously. Eating enough protein, fighting to get between 0.7 and 1 gram of protein per pound per day. If you want simple round numbers, somewhere between 100 and 150 grams of protein for a female, depending on your weight, somewhere between 150 and 200 for a male. And you want to progressively try to get stronger over time. Those are the only things you really need to worry about for maintaining and building muscle as we get older. All right. The second part of the question, though, was about like, you know, how much cardio is too much, because I feel strength training is most important. I think we just made the case for why strength training is important, because whether you are on the side of I want to preserve my strength or preserve my muscular size, the only way to do that is through lifting weights. But if we go to the CDC's guidelines, and I'm going to read a direct quote here, for general activity, they say adults should aim for at least 150 to 300 minutes, that's 2.5 to 5 hours, of moderate intensity aerobic activity, or 75 to 150 minutes, that's an hour and a quarter to 2.5 hours, of vigorous intensity aerobic activity per week. And they also recommend, of course, muscle strengthening activities 2 or more days a week. That's the lifting that we just talked about. So what is moderate intensity activity? It's brisk walking, it's biking at an intentional pace, it's swimming. I would even put moderate activity as like pickleball. I think a lot of people will count pickleball towards their like more intense, vigorous exercise, but after playing it and watching elderly people, I shouldn't say elderly, advanced age people play it, I'm not going to put it in the category of like intense exercise. Vigorous exercise is things like running, you know, very fast swimming, or playing a sport. I mean, there's older people out there getting it after it in the softball league, that kind of stuff. So why do we want the benefits of doing things other than lifting? Well, remember, the heart is a muscle. We need to continue to strengthen the heart and maintain its muscular strength, just like everything. We need to continue to work through ranges of motion with our joints to preserve their health, keep the lubrication good in there and the connective tissue strong. Everybody knows that doing cardio helps improve cognitive function, mental health, bone density, coordination. It's going to help you sleep better. It's going to reduce fatigue. So overall, to the point of the person's question, how much cardio is too much? To the extent that it takes away from your ability to maintain your muscular strength and size also, and the function that you're going to need to remain independent as you age.
Or if it takes away your ability to like your recovery. I think that's another good piece of it. Like if you find yourself too exhausted to do your strength training or anything, that because of the level of intensity you're going at with the cardio.
You know, I see this sometimes with clients or people that I talk with where they're like, you know, I didn't do my workout today, but I did walk 5 miles. I'm like, whoa. Like, if you had enough time to walk 5 miles, you definitely had enough time to do your training. So you would have been more beneficial to go ahead and do your workout, skip the walking, or cut back on the walking.
Or do like that plus a 2 mile walk, you know, because a 5 mile walk takes like quite a bit of time.
Yeah. So what I'm saying is like, don't overdo it on the cardio to the point where you don't have the time to do the other things that you need to be doing to preserve your function and your strength as you get older.
Yeah, like, you know, a couple 10 to 30 minute walks in a day, like especially if you have dogs, that's going to get you up to that moderate walking goal of like 2.5 to 5 hours per week.
Yeah.
You know?
And these are goals. Like there's actually benefits beyond going past these levels. I think most people, well, I know most people struggle to even reach these minimums. But think about those minimums. Start to measure what you're getting now and see if you can slowly increase it over time without robbing resources away. Us out our podcast episode with Dr. Jonathan Sullivan, the author of the Barbell Prescription. We had a really good talk. He calls us, you know, people who aren't in our 20s and 30s anymore, athletes of aging, and that's really what we are. And we had a great conversation about all the things that we've talked about so far in this episode. I'll put a link to that episode below.
All right, next question. How important is the eccentric part of a lift? Should I do a slow tempo on the way down? They didn't specify the lift that they're talking about. But
well, I think like I've seen a lot of content on short form media lately about like emphasizing the eccentric and showing people do these really slow negatives, whether it's like a chin up or a bicep curl or a squat. It's almost like if you're not doing a really slow eccentric, you're cheating. Your form is bad, and you're minimizing the amount of muscle that you grow or strength if you're not doing that. I mean, my perspective on it is, well, if anybody doesn't know, the eccentric is the lowering of any exercise. Like, it's when you're resisting the weight just pushing you down. So on a squat, it's on the way down. On a bicep curl, it's with your elbow opening.
It's the opening, the lengthening.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not always lowering.
Yeah. Is it always lowering? I don't know. Because gravity's working against the weight, even on an overhead press.
Yeah.
So I think overemphasizing the eccentric is a waste of time and effort. It's the eccentric part of the move that tears down the muscle fibers the most, which is fine. We want to tear the muscle fibers because that's what the rebuilding of them is, what makes them bigger and stronger. But it's also the part of the move that makes you sore.
Yeah, I was about to say, if you haven't done this before and you start to slow down the eccentric parts of your movements, you're going to get very sore very quickly for those first few weeks.
Yeah, and what's the point of that? Like, we don't want to be sore for the sake of soreness. Like, if being so sore keeps us from training for the next 3 or 4 days, it's definitely defeated the purpose or negated any positive effect of emphasizing the eccentric.
I will say that it's something that we do use for clients to add in if they run out of weights. It's a great tool. If you have basically the weights are too light that you have, we will add some eccentric to challenge them in a different way.
We'll slow down the eccentric.
If people are traveling and they have only limited weights, light weights, we'll do that same thing. Or it is something that we will throw in from time to time in our programming.
Yeah.
Especially if someone's training chin ups, we will have them do regular chin ups. We'll have them do chin up negatives where they jump up to the top of the bar and only lower themselves. So it's definitely a tool that we use. It's not something that we have our clients do every time they work out, though.
Yeah, but if we notice somebody not paying any attention to the eccentric, we'll correct them on that.
Oh, yeah. If it's just flinging the arm open for a curl or something like that.
Yeah, we never want to be out of control in a movement because that opens up more potential for risk. But we don't see so much benefit in slowing down the eccentric that we make it a coaching point to make people just lift like robots for the sake of us watching them be just so mechanical through each rep. It's a wasted effort, in my opinion. Safety is key, but not at the expense of making yourself incredibly sore or just making your training unenjoyable and mechanical. So there's that.
Next one. What are your thoughts on supplementing amino acids? Wouldn't that be good since they build muscle?
I mean, it makes logical sense if you know that amino acids are kind of the building blocks of proteins that turn into new muscle tissue, and they're what help repair those tears that we just talked about before. There's kind of some nuance here that there's EAAs and there's BCAAs. EAA stands for essential amino acids. There's 9 of those that you have to get from food because your body doesn't make them. They make up what you call a complete protein, if you've ever heard that. And then there's the BCAAs. These are the branched chain amino acids. There are 3 of the 9 essential amino acids, and they're the ones that are most responsible for triggering the process that protein does to make your muscles grow, called muscle protein synthesis. So thinking about those 2 separate categories, you might think, well, if the BCAAs are the most responsible, why don't I just supplement with BCAAs and get the benefit of the protein? Well, it doesn't work like that. The BCAAs still have to have the presence of all of the essential amino acids in the cocktail of whatever you're supplementing or eating to cause the reaction. They're most responsible for it, but they all got to be there.
Yeah.
Okay, so you hear that and you're like, all right, well then I'll supplement with essential amino acids, all 9. And that's fine, but it's not necessary if you're eating enough protein across the course of the day. We can't just zoom in on the mechanism of essential amino acids and BCAAs triggering the response that we want and not zoom out and look at the entire context of the diet in the entire day. You can still get the benefit of the amino acids that we want, building muscle, repairing, making us stronger, all that stuff, just by eating enough protein. We don't have to throw extra amino acids on top of it to get an extra benefit. It won't work. It's like watering your grass while it's raining outside. You're really just, making expensive pee and wasting money. But let's say you train first thing in the morning and you can't even stomach a protein shake before you eat. You're waking up fasted, you're in a catabolic state. That would be a situation where you could supplement with essential amino acids and at least get the muscle building benefits, switching your body over into that anabolic mode. But it doesn't do anything special for you that food or anything else
Right.
does. And, you know, it's just a supplement basically
Right,
in that
yes.
context. And then as far as another situation where it could be useful as a supplement is somebody who is a vegetarian. The problem with the vegetarian diet and building up, you know, building your physique and building enough muscle and strength is that it's harder to get a complete spectrum of essential amino acids from plant-based foods.
Yeah.
They're definitely out there, but it takes a lot more work. So you could eat a varied plant-based diet, you know, rich with beans and legumes and rice and soy, all that stuff that's good to build muscle. And then you could supplement with EAAs on top of that, just to make sure you're getting the full spectrum of amino acids to basically bring your overall protein intake for the day up, which is all we really want in the first place, without getting super complicated on timing and amounts and that kind of stuff.
So, in summary, you're saying basically like if you eat a balanced diet with enough protein for your body weight, you don't need to probably because you're getting enough in the foods that you're eating.
Yep.
One thing that we do recommend is people check their protein powders that they're taking. If they're if they're using protein powder as like a source of protein, meaning we drank a protein shake for breakfast, you know, we want to make sure that the protein powder that we're using has BCAAs.
I think the amount of without looking it up again, I think it's 5.5 to 6 grams of the BCAAs is what you need to show that it's like has enough of the right kind of protein to get the benefit of the supplement in the first place.
Okay. So supplementation, if more on the side if you're a vegetarian, or like you said, if you work out first thing in the morning and you don't have anything in your stomach and you can't even, you know, take a protein shake or whatever.
Yeah, but if you're like, you just see
would
like,
that just be a powder form that you're putting in your water? Okay.
But like the thing that's gotten trendy now is like these gym bros who carry around the gallon of water that has EAAs in it, and they think they're just like building more muscle because they're sipping on aminos all day. Unfortunately, it doesn't work like that, or I would be a lot more muscular than I am.
There were some gym bros in there yesterday that were cracking me up. Some younger, like college student. He had the gallon of water. I don't know what was in it, but this guy could not stop looking at himself.
Oh, yeah.
Literally, he would be like, and just flex at himself in the mirror constantly. The guy with the curly hair. I was like, oh my gosh,
Dang.
he was cracking me up. I mean, he had muscles, but and he would like lift his shorts. It was like, I was like, what are you doing? Like, it was just weird.
That's awesome.
All right.
We better keep this one short. This is getting long.
Can you build muscle in a calorie deficit?
All right. So short answer is this is yes. And the reason that if you know a lot about training and nutrition that you might be surprised is you know that a calorie deficit is what we use to lose fat. We're in an energy deprivation state. We're losing tissue, hopefully fat. And then a calorie surplus is what we want to be in to gain new tissue. We need those calories to build the new tissue. So how can we possibly build muscle in a calorie deficit? Because it is possible. Well, number one, it happens during your newbie gains phase. We talked about it in last week's podcast, so I'll put a link to that in the description of this one. But basically this period of time where you're extra responsive to everything that you do. Just bending over to tie your shoes makes you stronger. So even though you're not putting in enough energy in your newbie gains phase, you could potentially be building muscle even though you're not eating enough. Protein is making you make gains. The strength training that you're doing is making you make gains, and you're just like defying the odds here. So, and then newbie gains isn't just for new people. It's also for people who are you know, they used to be in shape and they've had a really long layoff, so you can cash in on that if you are, you know, you've been slacking lately, so you can still lose some fat in a calorie deficit. The second time is like if you just have a lot of body fat to lose. You could be in a fairly aggressive calorie deficit even, and you could be seeing the number on the scale go down, but you look down and you start seeing muscle grow. It's similar to the newbie gains period, but definitely very, very possible. Seeing it with many, many clients. And the other way that it can happen is if you're just super conservative with your calorie deficit. Let's say you don't have a lot of weight to lose and you're only in like a 5% calorie deficit. There's still a chance that you could build muscle. Nothing like during your newbie gains phase where you're just going to like look down week after week and see the difference in the mirror. But it is possible as long as the calorie deficit isn't very drastic. I think a lot of people, they don't make the body composition changes that they want to see because they think they're the exception to this rule, and they're just constantly trying to diet and they're not seeing their body change. They're like, I want to lose some fat, but I also want to build some muscle. So I'm just going to, I'm going to diet. I'm going to try to eat as little as possible, but I'm going to train really, really hard. And you just end up skinny fat. You end up feeling fatigued, and you end up overeating on the weekend, pretty much ending up at a maintenance level of calories. Guys, if you really want to change your body composition, break free of that mindset of just like always needing to diet, spend some dedicated time eating enough, eating in a slight calorie surplus, intending to gain some weight. I'm not talking about anything drastic, but a quarter of a pound per week when you average it out. Spend some time dedicated to doing that. I'm talking like 8, 12, even 16, maybe even 24 weeks in that surplus. And then let's get into a dedicated calorie deficit and really reveal the muscle that you just built. Drop the extra.
I was about to say while training.
While continuing to train. Oh yeah, you can't. Yeah, the diet is only part of it. If you just diet and don't go to the gym.
Or if you just do the calorie surplus. Yeah.
Good point. Yeah, that's exactly right. I'm glad you brought that up. But then really get into a calorie deficit. Commit to it. Lose any body fat that you accumulated during that building phase. That is how you change your physique over time, not by just always trying to build muscle while you're in a calorie deficit.
That's true. I mean, I spun my wheels for years being afraid of a calorie surplus and never changed my body composition until about like 2019 when we on purpose did that. And I on purpose did that. And I really saw the changes while training, while changing my strength training as well to what we do now on Digital Barbell.
And I think a lot of people, they think that I'm going to be in a calorie deficit, and that's going to be the thing that makes me lose the fat on my hips, thighs, and stomach. But I'm going to train really hard to be able to grow the definition in my shoulders, my triceps, my back, all that kind of stuff. But it doesn't work like that. The foundation is the nutrition, how much energy you're putting in, and then the training to either to build the muscle or not build the muscle.
Yeah. Okay, I like this last question. Any unexpected things about moving into the Airstream?
You want to take this one first?
I will say yes. The thing that I did not expect is that we have way less time. For some, like we had a house with a big piece of property that we had to take care of, a gym, a lot of stuff going on. Yeah, people visiting us a lot. And I was like, okay, when we move into the Airstream, I'm going to be playing puzzles. Like, we're going to have so much extra time because you don't have all of those things to take care of. That has gone out the window. I feel like we have less time, and it's mainly because you have to leave your home. Use that loosely in quotes, your home to do everything. So like we have to drive to a gym now and go to a gym and do that workout. And then, we're out in the world. Well, we might as well go by the grocery store. Might as well do this and then come back. We have to drive or walk or do something to do laundry, like all these little things. And we have to walk the dogs to let them to go to the bathroom.
Sometimes we walk the dogs 4 times a day.
Yeah, so there is maybe, we might sit here till like noon and just letting them go to the bathroom, and then we have to get them some exercise and like do a dog walk. So it's like everything takes a little bit more time than it did. We have to hand wash all the dishes. Like, I mean, I'm totally not like, this is not a list of complaints. That was what I did not expect the most, is like feeling like I have less time in my days versus more. And then add in, like right now we've been stationary, add in like, if we start moving around and like driving more, those days are like out the window. So I don't know. Less time is my most unexpected thing.
I'd agree with all those things. What else? I think like with what you just said though, even in the last week, I feel like we're finding our flow a little bit better, like getting into a routine of some of the projects that we want to work on, and finding more time.
Yeah.
And I think we're in a little bit of a skewed perspective right now because of where we are. Like we're
in the city that we lived in.
We have some other things that we're doing for family while we're here, so there's some extra responsibilities on our plate.
And we're not moving around, and we're also not really doing like any like sightseeing or anything because we live here. So
right.
It's not like we're in a city that we want to go like explore. We've been living here for years.
Yeah.
So I think that is going to be another piece of it too when we start to like move around.
Mm-hmm. But like unexpected things also is we're really enjoying it. Like we really like being in here. We like the space. neither one of us feel like stir crazy.
Okay, the funny thing is, when the RV park that we're staying in, it's like a true RV park. I mean, it's like a new RV park, but it's a true RV park. I mean, there's a trailer right here, there's a trailer here, but it's very nice. It's considered an RV resort.
That's right. It's got a pool.
We got a pool and a
lot of
pickleball
stuff.
court. Yeah, it's very, very nice. But anyway, when we lived here, we drove through here several times, and I would like break down in tears.
Because we were checking it out while they were building it.
Yeah, we were checking it out, and like I just could not imagine I'm like, why would I do this? Why would I go from living in this house with this property and like, you know,
a cowboy pool.
That house we lived in was like my dream house. I'll just say it. Like, why would I go from living in my dream house to living in this trailer park down the road?
I like how you called it a trailer park.
I would just start crying every time we pulled in here, but we're here, and I haven't cried yet, and I like it.
Yep.
And it's weird. Yeah, it's weird.
She likes trailer parks. The bottom line. Can you imagine if we walked into the office and like called this place a trailer park?
What do you call it? An RV park?
They call it an RV resort, baby.
Well, I'm just saying, yeah.
They'd be so mad.
No, I do like it. Like, okay, there's like a pool. I'm not saying I want to stay here forever, but I'm saying like it's really nice. The people here are nice. There's places to walk the dogs. There's a pool. There's pickleball. There's like a community kitchen, community like room where you can play pool, a lounge.
It's well
There's
maintained.
like swings. Yeah, they're constantly mowing, and it's beautiful.
And it's expensive too, which is why it's so nice.
And you can sit outside, and I mean the weather's like amazing right now. But like you sit outside, and it's almost like being in a coffee shop. I was saying yesterday, you're like, if we were at home and it was beautiful, we'd be sitting in our backyard, and we might see some deer pass.
Yeah.
Like we wouldn't see people. And I like to be out in the world doing my own thing, but seeing people. So here, we're sitting here, people walk by, walking their dogs, we're waving hi, the mowers are coming by, the people who work here are like talking to you. And you just like end up talking to way more people. We'll go down there, we'll get into a conversation with people.
Yeah.
You just like talk to people throughout your day. And I think that little piece of it is what has made it a pleasurable experience.
Yeah.
Versus like me just coming in here and seeing all the RVs like lined up and like start to cry and be like, what am I doing?
What am I doing with my life? I guarantee there's nobody still watching or listening to this podcast.
Sorry.
No, you don't need to apologize. People just listening to us wax on our thoughts on RV living.
And gyms.
Oh, man. All right. Well, we had fun answering those questions. If you want to get a question in the queue for a future episode, just drop us a line on Instagram or leave a comment on this episode if you're watching on YouTube. All right.
If you're still watching.
If you're still here. Have a great day.